Hello, welcome to Geeking Out with Shad. Yes, I know I haven't done a video for this channel in quite some time. I've been really focusing on my other channel, Shad Life. I will put a link in the description. That's mostly about bicycles, if you're into that sort of thing. But I'm going to just do a quick update on this channel. I'm going to try to start putting a little more focus on this channel now. I have a few videos I want to do and talk about things, not necessarily just about my car, but about a couple other things. And we will just do a brief thing on my car here. I have 6,507 miles on it, and we are going into the cold season. So it is Thanksgiving Day right now, and the temperature is 28 degrees, and we'll start going into some more frigid cold temperatures, and I'll be able to do some cold weather testing with this car. I want to do a couple of different types of cold weather testing. There's two different main scenarios, and it drastically affects how much range you'll get out of a car in colder weather. So if I just start the car, I've talked about this before when I had the Bolt EUV, but if I just start the car and then I go drive a long distance, let's just say I was going to go on a road trip, with the Bolt EUV, I went on a 188 mile trip with it when it was like 17 degrees outside, and that was fine. I stopped and had to do a fast charge on it to make it back home, because that was just shy of what I needed to get back home. But that was fine. It was I ran the heat. You kind of have to run the heat. I know people say, oh, you could just run without the heat and then have the seat on and the steering wheel on, but the windows fog up and things like that if you don't have the heat on. So I generally just run the heat. Right now in this car, I'm running the heat at 68 degrees. I generally like it a little warmer than that, but if I run the steering wheel, the seat, and then that at 68 degrees, it tends to balance out really well and tends to be the most efficient. This car, you have 3 different levels of auto. I usually just run it in auto. I can make it work harder, kind of medium, and then this is more like eco, and eco seems to work fine so far. We'll see. But we'll do some more testing with this car and see if this car fares better than the Bolt. The biggest difference between this car and the Bolt is that this has a heat pump and the Bolt didn't, and I feel like having a heat pump will be better. And then just because I'm mentioning the 2 different scenarios, the other scenario for driving in cold weather is doing a lot of short trips. So I live in the city and I do a lot of short trips, like driving to work, driving to Starbucks to get my coffee in the morning, things like that. A lot of like 2 to 4 mile to 6 mile long trips. And then the car sits and gets cold again, and then I start it up and do another short trip, and then it sits and gets cold again. And so that kind of driving, like city urban driving, the range gets significantly lower in colder temperatures. It's the opposite of summer, where that kind of driving gets me well over 300 miles of range. But in the wintertime, it usually, at least in the Bolt, it ran me closer to 100 miles of range, which wasn't a big deal, because when I'm doing that kind of driving, I'm charging here at my home with the level 2 charger in my garage, right? But it was a significant difference between summer and winter in urban driving. With this car, I think it'll fare a little bit better, but it still has to do that same thing, heat pump or not. When I start the car when it's cold, it has to ramp up everything and use a lot of battery to warm up the car. Then once the car is warm, everything kind of settles down. And so I think it'll impact it quite a bit, but I don't think it'll be as bad as the Bolt was. So we'll see. This car also has a little bit bigger battery, but it also has all-wheel drive. So that kind of offsets itself. It does get about the same overall range in warmer temperatures as the Bolt did. Maybe a little bit better than the Bolt, but not by much. But come winter, we'll see. With all-wheel drive, but I have a heat pump, a little bit bigger battery. I mean, there's just some different variables, so it'll be interesting to see how this fares in colder weather. So I'll do both tests. I'll do the, obviously I do a lot of short trips and city driving, so that'll just be natural. And then I'll do a longer range driving test and see how it fares with that. On the good news, there are a lot more chargers becoming available, fast chargers anyway, which is kind of needed for road tripping. So that, compared to last year even, there's just a lot more options, and they're coming on pretty fast, so that's kind of nice. And then Tesla has, at least in Minnesota, there's 2 chargers. They're on I-94 on the way up to Fargo from Minneapolis. There's 2 Tesla chargers that are now available for non-Tesla EVs. So that'll be kind of nice as more of those become available, as that's kind of the plan right now, is Tesla's going to open up more of its chargers to non-Teslas. I will need an adapter to be able to use those, and there is an adapter available, and I'll talk about all of that here on my channel coming up. So just a quick little update. Hang in there, just got a lot going on. I really do appreciate your support for my channel. Please like and subscribe. Peace.